welcome back to day 6 or 7. Like I said, I don't keep count of the days, but today I wanted to just talk a little bit more positively. I feel like the last two were a little bit sad and negative, so I think I'm just trying to get myself into a mindset of being more positive. Last few episodes, reflection on the past few months, what to do better. Now it's more so for just being excited and interested in what's gonna come up for me. I was watching a video on YouTube about how to speak better on the camera. One of the biggest things that they recommended was not do a script, but do bullet points so that you can just flow more naturally. So this video is also just going to be a practice for me to do that as well. Not that the other ones I scripted, I just winged it, but you can tell that I kind of ran out of ideas, but I hope this gives more structure. So the main idea of this video that I want to practice is countries that I want to travel to. But I'm just going to start with two of the main regions that I want to do. In the second part, I'll talk about the second region. In this first part, what I want to do is talk about which countries I want to go to first. So, two regions that I would like to focus on first is North Africa and the Middle East. The second region that I'd like to explore as well is Central Asia. These are the regions I would say I find most interesting right now. When I first came to Europe, I had explored Northern Europe. I've done most of Southern Europe. There's still a lot of places I haven't gone, like the Balkans or Eastern Europe. I haven't gone to France, Ireland, Switzerland. But when I first came to Europe and I had traveled to all those places, I got a lot out of them. I was thinking though that like towards the end of my travels that I would like to do something a little bit different. I feel like I felt comfortable with traveling around Europe, but I wanted something that challenged me. And so I was looking at North Africa. For a long time, I was looking at Morocco. And what I really want to do just to close up my year traveling in Europe, what better way would it be to travel to the Sahara and see the sunset? So I don't know if I'll try to figure out how to put photos on, but if you see it anywhere, it's going to be around here. I spent 8 days in Morocco, and at the end of it, I was able to watch the sunset from the Sahara, and it was super beautiful. It was just a great way to end the journey, and I felt very, very grateful that I did it. I just had a backpack full of clothes. I didn't know exactly where I was going, but I started off in Fez, Morocco, went to Chefchaouen, the Blue City, made my way all the way down to Marrakesh. And then from Marrakesh, I did an excursion through southern Morocco. It was super interesting. But I would say that was a really good introduction to that region. Yeah, those were my experiences. I would say that's exactly what I did. Now let's talk about what's on the top of my list. Tunisia and Egypt, both part of North Africa. I would say those are very interesting places that I would like to visit. The reason why I would like to visit those places, we can start with Tunisia. Big Star Wars fan growing up, always watched Star Wars. In Tunisia, there's a place called Tatooine in real life that you can go visit to. And that's something that I would really like to do is go to Tatooine and then see the sunset from there, like in episode 4, A New Hope, where Luke Skywalker is just looking out from his home and then seeing the sun set. But technically, it was two suns. So it would be really fun to do something like that and just see in real life and just kind of like, I don't know, parallel your life to Luke Skywalker. And that's where he introduced was introduced to his adventures and all the things he did and the people that he met. So that's a place that I would really like to go to. Second one, Egypt. Everybody knows Egypt. And so it's just famous. It's just a famous place. I would like to go to Cairo. I would like to see the pyramids. Another place I would go to specifically in Egypt is the Red Sea. I met a guy from Egypt in Prague, and one thing that he liked to do in the Red Sea was it was like gliding with a I don't remember what it's called, but I could probably add it somewhere in the corner. But you can it's like surfing, sky surfing. You just surf with a kite and it just takes you across. I'm blanking on the name right now. But that's something I would like to do. And it's also just, I mean, of course, just rich in history. That's where one of the most important civilizations happened. And even just the Middle East in general, the Fertile Crescent, that's where civilization was born and where a lot of the things that even our societies are organized as now come from. Um, so that's the second place I'd like to see. And then, of course, other parts of the Middle East like Jordan, all those other places I think would be really interesting to see as well. But we'll get to those eventually. Maybe I might go see those places first. Who knows? I don't know what's gonna come up from that. Okay, so we knocked out those two bullets. Another thing that I would say is that I feel like, I mean, North Africa in particular, because I can speak to that one a little more with Morocco. But when I was going through Morocco, I found something really interesting that it looks very similar to home in New Mexico. So when you go through, you're going to see all these mud adobe buildings. Even the ceilings are look so similar, the patterns and their blankets, even though the way of life and their agriculture is incredibly similar. And I can put some photos somewhere here. But that's something I find really interesting was that when I was there, I was like, wow, this is looks very similar to home. And I'm no history expert, but from what I understand is that when the Moors ruled over Spain, a lot of the things practices from North Africa were transferred or taught over there to Spain. And then when Spain came to the Americas, a lot of that those ways of life were transferred into the desert. So it just kind of shows how interesting that even though these places seem so far apart, separated by an ocean, in many ways there's a connection there. And so I think that just gives me a lot of respect for people who live in the desert and have to endure those harsh conditions and the smart ways that they were able to learn to survive it. So I think another reason why I would like to go there. And then I feel like this semester though, I was really holding back from traveling. Like I said, I only went to London, been there before, but like I just didn't go out and explore as much as I'd wanted to. Um, and I kind of want to just go over maybe the reasons why I'm feeling that way or like what held me back from traveling. I think there's just a little bit of fear in, I don't know if it's like a scarcity mindset, but I just was always fearful of, oh, am I going to spend too much or should I save this for something else? Should I hold on to it? I think that's one of the biggest things that has held me back. But that's the thing I need to remind myself is like, that's the reason why you saved is so that you can have experiences like that. And another thing that I always see on Instagram is it's around the saying of money comes and goes. So I will never be this young again. I'll never be 25, being in Europe, traveling the world. Money will always come back later. And I just need to remind myself that. And that money, yeah, money always comes back. I'm not gonna remember how much I spent on a specific trip, but I'm gonna remember all the memories that I got from that. Same exact thing from Morocco. It was like, I mean, it was pretty cheap to go there, but I didn't think about, like, when I look back, I don't think about the money that I spent on there. I made all that money back. I remember all the things that I did. Seeing the blue city, seeing all the cats, seeing the Atlas Mountains, seeing the sunset in the Sahara. And so that's just one thing I just need to remind myself. And another thing too is changing it from fear, and I wrote this down, is just turning it into a sense of wonder and excitement. Like, this whole world has so many different cultures, so many different ways of life, and beautiful architecture and people. And there's just so many places that you can go see that where you can learn from. And I also think a great way to think of it as well, as I was thinking back to Star Wars, but there's so many side quests, so many characters to meet. And I think that that just means that there's just so many different people that you can meet here and learn from. And so yeah, so I would say that's kind of what I want to change and move forward to, is just the sense of excitement and not have any fear of what happens. Because let's think about it. What's the worst what can happen? What if I do run out of money? I'll just have to go home. That's it. I can try again. Or I can try to find ways here to get a job or save up. And don't put your life on hold for things like that. It's good to save, but don't let it delay your life. That's the big takeaway. And then in the next part, what I want to do is focus on Central Asia. So Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, those countries I'm interested in as well. So we'll talk about those in the next video.